Hey guys, EBPMAN here, and in today's review we're going to do a comparison between the Sony WF1000XM4, the reigning champ of all earbuds at this time, with the Jabra Elite 85Ts. We're going to do a call quality test, audio test, we're going to talk about the features, so let's get right to it. Now the first thing we're going to take a look at the features, and the first thing up is the battery life. From a battery life perspective, the Jabras really don't compete well with the Sonys. So when you look at the Sonys right here, the Jabra have 5.5 hours to 7 hours of usage. That's pretty much it. Compared to the Sonys, Sonys are really crushing it. 8 hours of active noise canceling, and up to 12 hours if you turn active noise canceling off. And if all you're using them is for calls, then you'll get up to 5 hours. So clearly, an independent use, out-of-the-box charge, you're going to get more out of the Sonys here. But I have to say that the Jabra Elite 85Ts do a fantastic job when it comes to overall battery life. So you're looking at 25 to 31 hours of battery life, especially if you get into that 31-hour mark. That's where they really excel, and I would say really surpass the 24 hours that you're going to get with the Sonys. But there's another area. Now we talk about fast charge, and that's again where the Sonys come on top. And you really need to pay attention to these different battery, I would say, features. From a battery perspective, you're going to get you heard that right, in 5 minutes, 1 hour of use. Now, with the Jabras, you're going to get around with 15 minutes an hour. So the fast charging technology is also pretty crushing. Now from a Bluetooth perspective, 5.0 on the Jabra Elite, 5.2 on the Sonys. And here's one area. So you see them both in my ear. Well, here's the challenge with the Jabras, and I wish they addressed this. And I know a lot of you were wishing that this was addressed too when you got these. First of all, these cannot be used independently. You can only use the right earbud by itself, but you have to use them both at the same time. With the Sonys, not a problem. With the Sonys, you can actually use them independently, and that's also a great feature. Both of them have auto pause technology. Both of them have a form of adaptive active noise canceling. But I would say that, well, both of them are doing things. One of the things that Jabra is doing now is that they do like a hearing test that gives you the ability to really fine-tune your active noise canceling and your audio experience to your hearing. So if you haven't done that yet, you'll want to check that out. Sony doesn't have that, but it does have adaptive, and it also has great passive noise canceling. But I have to say, as I compare these two, which one gives me the best seal, and it really doesn't have the special gel pieces, the Jabra. Jabra does a really, really nice job. It really is like plugging your ears with earplugs. Both of them do transparency mode, and then both of them have mics. And this is where a place where Jabra, I think, may excel in our audio test. We still don't know yet. So Sony only has 2 mics with bone conduction, a bone conduction sensor that's supposed to clear up the audio. Well, Jabra has 6 mics, and it also has wind noise control. So we're going to test this in our audio test to see how well they do. Both of them have IPX4 rating, so they're equally matched, and both of them are going to work on iOS and Android. So let's take a look at the case. Now, as we take a closer look at the case itself, there's a lot of similarity here. You can see that both of these earbud cases look very similar. Both of them have a similar size and dimension, and both of them support wireless charging. They both have USB-C connections in the back, and both of them are important when it comes to using them to charge as well as update the firmware. The earbuds are locked magnetically, and they will not come out, and the lock or the cover will not open either by mistake. As we take these out and we take a look at them even closer, one of the things that you're going to notice is that the earbuds are very similar in design. You can see that right here, how similar they are in design. And while they're similar in design, you'll notice that the Sonys are a little bit deeper in your ear. You can see how much closer they come into your ears, and you can see here the earpieces themselves, how they look. Right? Sonys are a little bit larger, right? So let's go ahead and put these on so you can see what they look like. So this is what they would look like. I'm going to turn to the right, and I'm going to turn to the left. And I have to say, from a passive noise canceling, just feeling, the kind of adjustment that I have to do, the Jabra feel like they have a tighter seal, at least for my ears specifically, right? So they feel a little bit better. But again, this is what the experience is going to look like and how much they're going to stand out. So depending on, again, your face geometry, your dimensions of your face, they're either going to disappear or stand out even more, as they do in my face. But that's what they would look like if you compare them to each other. Now, from an audio perspective, the Jabras have great sound signature. Bass, mids, and highs are present, have an ample soundstage. But and even though they have active noise canceling tuning to your hearing, which they do a really good job at, and then audio tuning as well to your hearing, I still feel that the sound signature of Sony is a bit better. But you know what? You be the judge of it. We're going to do an EBPMAN style audio test, put on some headphones or earbuds so you can hear what I heard.
You look at me like I'm crazy when I shut my feelings out. You look at me like I'm different. Still you stay cause you feel something real. Get so lost in my moments. Doesn't mean I don't need you. I fell in love with your colors. They kinda tell me what I'm thinking. You look at me like I'm crazy when I shut my feelings out. You look at me like I'm different. Still you stay cause you feel something real. Get so lost in my moments. Doesn't mean I don't need you. I fell in love with your colors. They kinda tell me what I'm thinking. I fell
Now next we're going to do a call quality test in a quiet environment of the Jabra Elite 85Ts. And as you can look at our decibel readings, anywhere between 29 and 30 decibels of noise. Going to switch. Now this is what the call quality will sound like when making a phone call on the Jabra Elite 85Ts in a quiet environment. This is a test. 1, 2, 3. This is our test. Next, let's add some wind to the environment. And this is what the Jabra Elite 85Ts would sound like with wind in the environment. This is a test. 1, 2, 3. This is our test. Now we're using the Jabra Elite 85Ts, but this time with the face mask on. This is what they would sound like if you were wearing a face mask. We're continuing our test with the Jabra Elite 85Ts, but this time in a noisy environment. And as you can see here, decibel readings between anywhere from 41 all the way up to 80 decibels of noise. So we're going to switch. This is what the Jabra Elite 85Ts would sound like in a noisy environment. This is a test. 1, 2, 3. This is our test. We're continuing our test of the 85Ts, but this time with an infant crying in the background. This is what they sound like if you had an infant crying in the background. Now we're continuing our test with the Jabra 85Ts, but with a dog barking in the background. This is what they would sound like if a dog were barking in the background. Now, if you're wondering what the Jabra Elite 85Ts sound like if a doorbell were to ring, this is what they would sound like if a doorbell was ringing. Now, next we're going to do our call quality test of the Sony WF1000XM4s in a quiet environment. Let's take a look at our decibel readings. Anywhere between 20 and 28 decibels of noise. Let's go and switch. Now, this is what the call quality would sound like when making a phone call on the Sony WF1000XM4s in a quiet environment. This is a test. 1, 2, 3. This is our test. Now, we're going to add wind to the environment. This is what the Sony WF1000XM4s sound like in a windy environment. This is a test. 1, 2, 3. This is a test. This is what the Sony WF1000XM4s sound like in a windy environment. Now we're continuing our test of the Sony WF1000XM4s, but this time with the face mask on. This is what they sound like with the face mask on. Now we're continuing our audio test, but this time in a noisy environment. As you can see by our decibel readings, we have anywhere between 40 and 78 decibels of noise. What we're going to do is we're going to switch to the Sony WF1000XM4s. We're going to stay quiet, and then we're going to continue to record the audio coming from the voice, just to see how much is being canceled out. Let's go and switch. Now, this is what the call quality would sound like when making a phone call with the Sony WF1000XM4s in a noisy environment. This is our test. 1, 2, 3. This is our test. Now, we're continuing our test of the Sony WF1000XM4s, but with an infant crying in the background. This is what they would sound like with an infant crying in the background. We're continuing our test of the Sony WF1000XM4s, but this time with a dog barking in the background. This is what they would sound like if a dog were barking in the background. Now we're continuing our test of the Sony WF1000XM4s, but with a doorbell ringing in the background. This is what they would sound like if a doorbell was ringing in the background. So guys, that wraps up our comparison review between the Jabra Elite 85Ts and the Sony WF1000XM4s. See you in the next one.